Well, good evening. Hope everybody's doing okay. It's Wednesday. Oh, it's just a little bit after 8, but that's all right. So that must mean it's another episode of Embrace Live. Well done for joining us tonight. Thank you for those people who are joining in live. I can already see that Sue and Bill and Hannah, Mike and Val and others are online, which is great. Don't be shy. Leave us a comment. Obviously, I'm just looking at my secondary monitor over here and I can pick up those comments. And as always, we want to make it as interactive as we can, particularly when we get to hear from tonight's guest. The amazing Mr. Ken Riley is joining us tonight. It was so great. We've been catching up before we come on air, and it's great to see him. And we've got into music and all sorts already. A little bit techie and nerdy, but we promise we won't go there too often tonight. Maybe we will. I don't know. We're not making any guarantees. He's laughing on his monitor. I can see my other monitor here. We'll see what happens, eh? Thank you for tuning in. So this is Embrace Live. If it's your first time with us, then great, thank you. We started doing this as a church. So Embrace Church in Darlington, like many churches, had to find new ways of doing things. Meeting online when lockdown was happening, and obviously we're still very mindful of COVID and so on. So we want to kind of cater to... obviously who can join us in the physical space, but also online as well. So we started doing this, and this is actually episode 27. So we've had a couple of breaks for the holidays and things like that, but it's great, actually. And, I'm so excited that we get to do this each week. And just let me introduce myself. My name's Dave Dixon. I'm part of the leadership team over at Embrace Church in Darlington. But this is not just about an Embrace Church Darlington thing, all right? This is not just promoting the wonderful church that is Embrace Church, but this is about promoting the wonderful church with a capital C. Amazing. There's only one church, and I keep saying this each week, and I want to emphasize this. There's only one church. There's just lots of different flavors and how we live out, the Bible and living out and so on, and in our communities. So it's great to kind of be able to, join with you tonight. If you're not able to kind of join in live, then no worries, thank you. You can always obviously pick these up on demand for our channels, the Embrace Embrace Church, the Facebook page or the YouTube channel. Then, you can grab them from there. And I would encourage you, if you've got the time and you would like to, they're well worth watching previous episodes if you've missed them, because they're just great interviews with a whole range of people that are living out their relationships with Jesus in lots of different ways in their communities and doing this stuff to kind of show and demonstrate practically God's love for people that don't know him, and using the gifts that God has given us in lots of different ways, and again living that out. And we've heard from so many great ministries and organizations, charities, and great people are involved in all of these as well. So it's great. So just it's great to kind of welcome a few more people. Again, I can see that Jill has commented, and Jill Jackson is online and watching. And actually, she's multitasking. Ken will be impressed with this, I'm sure. She's multitasking because we've known Jill for many, many years, and the family, of course, Hannah included. Jill is multitasking, so she's listening and watching whilst ironing. So there we go. No doubt, knowing Gaz Jackson, her good husband, he will have some sort of kind of comment to make about that's what women should be doing. But we don't subscribe to that, and we want to distance ourselves. And, at this point, we want to move on quickly. So thank you for joining us. Like I say, we've got coming up so many different guests. There's just a little kind of screen view there, and, of different people. Some have featured already. We've heard from the amazing Ben Jack. Well worth tuning into that episode. That was a couple of weeks ago. It was great. I think it's such a great interview. It was great to catch up with him. But, the added challenge is, and I hope I styled this out, and it's not noticeable, but midway through the interview and just chatting with the mighty Ben Jack, I decided to knock my glass of juice all over my desk where I've got all my expensive kit and all over myself. So for the majority of that interview, I was sat in some rather wet jeans, feeling rather uncomfortable. But I'm hoping you didn't notice, because I am trying to be quite professional about this. Last week we had Steve Whitehouse, a long-term friend of mine, an absolutely amazing guy, and we've kind of resurrected a little bit of the kind of worship leaders mini-series, and in amongst everything that we've been doing. And then of course there's loads of great faces up there as well, different people that are going to be joining us next week. We've got the amazing Christine who's going to come on and tell us some of her story. And again, just, well worth kind of tuning in. If you can, set your reminders, 8 o'clock each Wednesday. And, it'd be great if you can join us live, but you're very welcome to catch up afterwards as well. All right, so Hannah's also multitasking, I can see. She's drinking tea. They are clever people, these Jackson females in particular. And good to see that Jill actually agrees with us as well. Ha, true, she says in her comment. All right, so let me just go over, before I go any further, let's have a quick say hello to our amazing guest tonight, Mr. Ken Riley. We'll just say a quick hello, and then I'll come back and do a little bit more, and then we'll get into the meat of it. So, Ken, I'm going to come across to you now. And here he is. There's the good man himself. Are you doing okay?
Yes, mate. How are you? Nice to see everybody.
I'm very good, thank you.
Comments. I can see Jill and Hannah and people I know.
Yeah,
hello, everyone.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So we're going to be obviously hearing a little bit about your story tonight. We're going to be hearing a little bit more about your involvement with music, which I'm again, we've already established that I'm loving the background. We've had the discussion, the tech gear, all discussion already, and admiration of the Marshall amp and the AC30 underneath that already. So,
just lost you.
Have you got us back? I'm still
Sorry,
there.
my Siri's freaking out. Sorry.
All right, it's okay. We've got you. We can see you and hear you. We can't hear you, Siri, though. Thank you.
Oh,
that's all right.
Yeah.
So, Ken, we'll come back to you in a moment, and we'll just kind of get to know you a little bit more, and you can kind of We'll chuck in the questions. But I do want everybody, as always, to feel free to make this interactive, to comment. And if you've got any questions for Ken, particularly, I'm encouraging the Jacksons tonight, because, like I said, we've known Ken for many, many years. So we want to put him on the spot as much as possible with awkward things. He's kind of grimacing at this point and scratching his head already, I can tell. Be kind, though, please. Be kind. We don't want any, any of those kind of stories about things that we don't want airing in public. Remember, this is a church-related stream. All right, so we have got, like I say, this mini-series which we've been doing, meeting different worship leaders, and I get to call them worship buddies, really, because these are friends that I've got to know over many years, and we do want to kind of hear from them. So we'll hear through Ken about what he's doing, and what's his role in particular, as we advertised in City Church in Newcastle, fantastic church. And again, like I said, there's only one church, but there's just another expression of what God is doing. What Jesus is doing. He's alive today in the community of Newcastle. All right, so let me play this little worship intro, and then we'll start talking with Ken. Here we go.
Praise the Lord, all my soul. Forget not what he's done. Forget not what he's done. Praise the Lord. Surround you with his love. Surround you with his love. Yeah. He surrounds you with his love.
And here we are. So, Mr. Riley, are we well? Are we settled? Can you hear us?
Yes, I'm all good, mate. Thank you.
You're all good. Oh, good. I just can't help staring in the background of you. See, I just, it's that gear attraction, gear addiction. So you've got a lovely Telecaster and acoustic I can see there.
That's my telly there. It's a Nocaster, actually. And then that's my very old it's kind of weird, the camera's the other way around.
Yeah,
it's a really old J45.
Yeah. Yeah. And already we've gone into a bit of nerdy gear talk already. We're going to try and make this inclusive for everybody. Let me say hello. I mean, Hannah's posting a few things on here. Let me see. I'm going to add a few of these. And she's just randomly adding names. So I'm guessing she's tagging people in this stream to try and encourage them. We shall see if we achieve tonight, because I can see that she's actually tagged Gary Jackson, Father Jackson, in there, and see if he will actually join us. We shall see, because no doubt he will have some interesting comments and questions if he does actually join us. But great that Steve could join us tonight as well, and as well as everybody else. So, Ken, I'm trying to think.
Yes, mate.
I can't remember, because I'm getting on a bit. I can't remember actually how long I've known you for. It just seems for a long time, through things like Harvest and stuff like that. So
yeah,
it's got to be a while, hasn't it? It's got to be a while.
90s, mid-90s maybe.
Yeah. And
somewhere around there.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously you're an amazingly talented fella. You know, in
That's
lots of
very
different
kind
ways.
of you. For,
No, absolutely.
for overestimating me.
No, not at all. Very humble. That's good. So, you know, what we want to do tonight, Ken, if it's all right with you, is just to kind of find out a bit about who you are.
Yeah.
Because actually, I'm fascinated. I've known some people for years, but actually, I don't know everything. Not that I want to know everything. That's a bit stalkery, isn't it? It's a bit kind of restraining order. So I'm not going to start stalking. Don't worry. We've already established I can't stalk you on the socials because I think your last tweet was about 1982 or whatever it was. Yeah. I'll send you a pigeon or a whippet with a note in its collar or something. There we go. So you know, we want to kind of find out a bit, you know, about you, hear your story, how you kind of got to the point where you made a commitment to follow Jesus and be his disciple, live it out, and how that's kind of going. And obviously, you've had a really successful music career so far, and you continue to be writing and producing new tracks and things. And you've got a role within City Church Newcastle where you're the worship and creative pastor. Is that right? Is that the title?
I think officially, worship pastor though. Yeah.
Yeah, worship pastor. That I know. Yeah. So I mean, obviously, I've done a little bit of research and homework and jumped onto the City Church.
You have, mate. Well done.
Yeah,
well
of course
done.
I have. Yeah, I'm very thorough. I am trying to be professional, but it does sound like I'm stalking you now. So again, sorry. I mean, I think the restraining order has elapsed. Actually, I think it was only for 15 years, so that's all right. But there we go. So it'd be great to kind of obviously get your insights into worship. What's happening worship-wise, your experience of worship within churches, and in particular how you lead, in City Church and other places I'm sure you get invited to go to as well. So this is, for not just for musicians and things, and even drummers. It's just cheap, isn't it? These cheap jokes. We won't get into that. I hope Des is not tuning in. Maybe we'll have to tag Des in this as well. He was a very, very good fellow and a cracking drummer. Straight out of the 80s rock caliber, which is my favourite kind of music to listen to. And so I've got some kind of questions, but like we say, it would be great to kind of tap into your vast, experience and knowledge, and just kind of particularly around songwriting, which I know that you're incredibly gifted in, and maybe just kind of reflect about your musical journey over the years, and let's just see where it goes, because like I say, we do want people to, and I want to encourage people to, interact with us as well. I'm just going to put this on screen because I can see immediately Hannah's just jumped on the opportunity. Now we've mentioned Des, just to kind of, tag him in there, and hopefully we shall get him on. And Jill's doing it also. Wow, these Jackson ladies are really giving it some tonight. All right, so let's see if we can get them online as well. Des is a very good friend of ours, obviously, and he's an amazing drummer, and obviously has spent time with you in bands for many years and stuff. Anyway,
just a bit,
yeah. So I'm going to shut up. Because I've been talking a lot already, which is not unusual. But Ken, why don't you give us a bit of your story? Kind of bit of like who you are, and then just a bit of your story about what was life like? When did you give dedicate your life to Jesus, and what's that like for you?
Yeah.
What's that been going on?
Yeah, of course, yeah. Hi everybody, I'm Ken, as you might have gathered. I'm born, bred, Whitley Bay, lived here all my life, still live here.
Yeah.
Still a fan of Whitley Bay, I love living here, it's great. I became a Christian, brought up, a family, I've got two older sisters and a younger brother, mum and dad who are still around in their mid-80s, amazing.
Yeah.
Which means I better start saving for my retirement. But apart from that, I became a Christian. Got married when I was 25.
Right.
Became a dad around the same time. I have 3 kids, Jeremy, Jordan, and Ben. Some of them, I'm sure Hannah knows them. They're all, 2 of them are grown up now and work in London, in creative industries, TV and music.
Fantastic.
My son's just gone off to uni. In fact, he's just got his first offer tonight because it's the big kind of office day, isn't it? So he's got his first offer, so he's happy.
Good.
Became a Christian, married to Amanda for 31 years.
Good on you. Does she deserve a medal?
She needs a massive medal. Nearly as big as Jill Jackson needs.
Jill Jackson definitely needs more than one medal. Absolutely.
He's been medaling for years, yeah.
Yeah.
I became a Christian quite late. I was 27.
Right.
Yeah. Which I don't know if you know that.
I didn't know that actually.
In the 80s, I was in a couple of bands that did pretty well. Tapau was between us and Tapau to get the deal, and Tapau got the deal. This is really ancient history for them, you guys.
It's not that. No, this is quality. This is quality music we're talking about. China in your hand and Tapau and stuff like that. Battling out with Tapau.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they and we didn't quite get the deal. They did. And then I kind of quit music and started to play golf, as every good Christian man should.
Yes.
He says. Stereotypically, and then I tried to get into Def Leppard when one of the guitarists died, and I picked the guitar back up.
Well, that was one of the questions I was going to ask you, because I'd heard this. Somebody mentioned this, and I thought,
it's a true story.
Is this actually true? You know, so it was one of the things I wanted to.
Genuinely true story. I was in touch with a manager in the States a couple of times and saying, I want to come and be in the band. He was like, man, giving it blah blah.
Yeah.
And then I discovered that my sister, who would become a Christian, was praying desperately that I wouldn't get anywhere near the job. and the audition happened, and I didn't even find out there was an audition. It's all very strange. But but it got me back into play the guitar. I used to play guitar every night and kind of practice to try and get this gig. And then within a year, I'd become a Christian.
Wow.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How'd that happen then?
The old Northeast rock band. What happened on my own in my lounge? I'd been in a band called She in the 80s, who we were a pretty good band, done a couple of TVs, all that kind of stuff, blah, blah.
Yeah.
A singer called John Perry was coming to a local church, Acorn Community Church in Whitley Bay. And then my wife had become a Christian, and my sister had taken her to church.
Yeah.
And I used to wait for her to get back from church on a Sunday night, and then I'd go to the pub with her and wait for a beer.
Yeah.
And then she said, there's a singer coming to the church who used to sing with Cliff Richard.
Big draw.
True.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. But deep inside, I was like, I need to go to that.
Yeah.
But I didn't like to let on, right? Because I was, and I was, and then it was about 6 weeks out from the gig, and I remember saying every week, "Suppose you've got me tickets to see this naff singer over here," kind of, in a typical Ken kind of way. But we did go, and I felt the presence of God. He'd been out with Jackie Pullinger in Hong Kong.
Wow.
And he told the story of Jackie Pullinger, who we all know, wow, amazing now. At the time, as non-Christian, no clue.
Yeah.
But talked about how these triad guys had come off drugs with the Holy Spirit without any DTs, etc.
Yeah.
He'd been out working with her, sang this song with images, and I had this heat start at my feet and kind of work up my body.
Wow. Yeah.
All right, and I'm sat there kind of going, this is all a bit weird. And I got to about my chest. And if anybody's met me, I'm not the tallest, so it's quite easy. Got to my chest, and the song ended and kind of subsided. And I'm like, okay, there's something in this stuff. And I went home that night and prayed and just said, Jesus, if you're real, show me. And a song came straight into my head that I'd written 5 years before with the band I'd been in. But I didn't do anything about it. But then for the next sort of 5 to 7 days, I got really unsettled. And every night we'd go to bed and kind of go, Jesus, are you real? Do you want me? The song would come into my head. And it got to the following Saturday. Amanda was out with Jay, my daughter. And we'd had it on a 7-inch vinyl, this song. So, and it was about midday on a Saturday in October. That's all I know. And just kind of prayed this prayer, God, are you real? Do you want me? And the song came into my head again. Got the single out. It's emotional again, telling the story. I've told it for so long.
Yeah.
7-inch single on, put the record on, and just ended up. I remembered writing the song with our singer, and I'd written the section about turning around and having a new start in your life. It was like turn around, walk straight ahead. And I ended up flat on my face in my lounge on my own.
Wow.
And just what I know now was like Holy Spirit everywhere, totally in tears. Went up to the bathroom to pull myself together because that wasn't cool. And God spoke really clearly into my head and said, build me a house of love. And I was like, okay. And then within the next month, I had some really big encounters I heard the audible voice of God twice.
Yeah.
Just in my right ear, which is my deafest ear. Anybody who uses one in ear, don't. Wear two. Otherwise, you get a deaf ear.
Thank you. I would absolutely subscribe to that.
Yeah.
I do.
Technical tip.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Technical tip. Within 6 weeks, I've become a Christian, but mainly on my own, and then ended up at the Acorn Church, where I ultimately met with Phil Grover and Steve Riley and people that we started the Y-Friday event.
Yeah.
So mad. Really, really big things very early.
Yeah, superb. So you're already obviously an established musician, been in bands and stuff like that. What we want to know is was it She, did you say, was the band?
She.
Yeah.
She.
So what we want to know at this point is there any YouTube footage? Obviously, I mean, people like Mike Connolly, who's a good friend of mine, there we go. Is very good at kind of finding obscure YouTube footage if it's out there and posting the link. So,
There's a really embarrassing bit. I was the guitar player and I had a hanky tied on my arm on the telly, and played a guitar solo. And at the end of the solo, the handkerchief slid down my arm, and I kind of nonchalantly flicked it into the crowd.
Oh, nice!
And I was just wanting to know that video does exist because my kids sent it to me a couple of years ago, laughing their heads off at me. So be careful what you do out there, people.
Fantastic, love it. So we have obviously got some people online. There's quite a few kind of comments coming through. Another good mate of ours is Andy Rose, who has quite nicely shown his appreciation, saying hello, gorgeous. Obviously, we've got the mighty Helen Rose, his good lady wife, on there as well. And obviously,
she wears one in here. Helen.
Yeah, needs to stop. I always go mad with when I see people doing that because anyway. And so, thank you. Somebody of your caliber is able to say that, and obviously, we want to learn from your experience. Isn't it amazing though? And it's just it's just typical of God who spoke to your ear. That's your weakest. Kind of your so amazing. And obviously, Hannah is clearly. Has got the message about the inner ear side of things. So what we're talking about for non-musicians are basically the headphones that we wear in our ears to be able to hear what the band and the singing and stuff like that. And like anything else, it's not a good idea just to have one. All right. But Hannah is particularly motivated by this idea of finding these obscure videos of you in with your lovely handkerchief kind of moments
and long poodle hair.
Nice.
It's worth it.
I'm going to make that everybody's homework for tonight. I don't give out homework, but we all need to see that. And if we can see it and post it, even better. We're going to post it everywhere.
And there's a little bit of a sad story, though, insofar as a few years ago I went to the funeral of the singer,
right,
who was possibly one of the best singers I've ever met. When the band ended, she went into a convent for a little while. Turned up at a Ninth Hour event in Durham, really plastered one night. And heckled Phil Glover, which was priceless. But just to say, and then I was visiting somebody in the hospital, and she was lying in the hospital bed, just washed up, bless her. And I just thought, wow, such an amazingly gifted, because she was incredible. I mean, like Pat Bennett, back at the time, Pat Bennett, all those people. Yeah. She was right up there, and the paths that our gifting can take us. Yeah. When I look back to my sister praying that he wouldn't get anywhere near the Def Leppard gig. I'm not saying I would have got out, that I was good enough, right?
Yeah.
But there's a path, and there's a whisper, and there's a nudge, and there's a thing we don't see in terms of destiny that if we're open to it, we can make the right steps. The Bible's really clear about we set our journey in our heart, but only God makes the steps, and I think it's really important that we all remember that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Obviously, we've got the comments raging now, as you're probably there coming up, and I'm keeping an eye on them, obviously, about in ears and what to do and all of that kind of stuff. We're not going to get into those too much, but, as we did invite and asked him to come on, Mr. Gary Jackson, we knew we'd get all sorts of comments from him, but there we go. So, that's great. So thanks for that encouragement, as always, Mr. Gaz Jackson. Very good friend.
Love that man.
We go. Top man, isn't
he? Love that man.
Still
love you, Gary.
Yeah. So you mentioned obviously a few things there, like Y-Friday event, 9th Hour, a couple of things in there. Now, obviously we're steeped in history like that. But why don't you tell us a bit about? Well, actually, what's Y-Friday 9th Hour event? What was kind of happening there? Because you said that was pretty pretty big early on in your, if you like, your Christian journey. You know.
Yeah. mid 90s was little bit of a youth event explosion around the country. And Martin was starting with the Cutting Edge guys down in Littlehampton. The Tribe had started Planet X, whatever it was in Manchester at the time. And I remember we started this little youth event. Steve Riley was massively instrumental. I wasn't even at the first one. And then I got drafted in to play guitar at the second.
Yeah.
And I think I started leading worship at the third. And it was quite a typical setup at the time, 15 people in the band, massive range of abilities.
Yeah.
If you were young and you played something, you were in. And it was an Acorn Church, and we started these monthly events called Y-Friday, WHY. The PA used to go off every time we played. But
was Gary Jackson running the PA on that as well then?
Well, I'm not going to say.
All right, okay.
I remember there was maybe 50 people came to the very first one.
Yeah.
I had this chat with Jamie Daniels today. I was chatting with Jamie today about some stuff. Who's the director of YFC now, obviously in up in Newcastle. And the path for that event and the sense, I was saying to Jamie today, I never doubted from the very first Y-Friday event that I would end up leading worship in a band and travelling and doing all the things that we did as the band Y-Friday, which then happened. That was never even a... God planted that really, really clearly in me very, very early. And then it was like, well, I don't know how that's going to happen, God, but I see the end, and I'm here. I'm stood here. I'm going to try and get this on camera. Hang on.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah.
And there's the end, but I don't know what this path's going to look like.
Aye.
But it works out, man. For me, for us, and Des and Gav and Danny who were in the band, so we went through various iterations, became this band and the event grew. From 50, we ended up at occasionally over 1,000 people at City Hall, Newcastle. We were there for years.
Yeah.
And thousands of people saved. So the band Y-Friday released records. We were quite evangelistic rock. I called it gig worship, so it was a bit of both, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we used to come and worship at Harvest and everything, and we would lead worship at Ninth Hour. But when we travelled, it was very outreachy, very, very. It was gig worship. But I was thinking about this today. If no one coming on here, it's like, well, what is the history? Somewhere in the region of 15,000 people saved. We've seen that.
Wow.
And that wasn't just us. That was, because we travelled like loads of different countries. I mean, we were out in Singapore with a guy called Steve Hill, who was the Brownsville evangelist, and we'd see 500 to 1,000 people a night saved there. It was amazing. Wow. And we were stood there playing guitar, kind of going, people are getting out of wheelchairs and all that kind of stuff. And our ministry was a lovely thing. It was great. We touched a lot of lives. We've seen lots of young people give their lives to Jesus. We've seen lots of people healed, lives transformed, great stories. It's funny. I'm not nostalgic for it.
Yeah,
I would. People go, oh, come get back together. I'm not interested in that. Life goes forwards.
Yeah.
But there were special times, and I think the region in Northeast and the Ninth Hour event, which ended up at City Hall, because we ended up stealing the name because we started travelling and getting a reputation, and it was like, you're going to have to change the name of the event, Phil. And
not the name of the band. You're gonna change the name of the event. All right, okay, we get the picture. Yeah,
just greedy. But amazing, lovely, amazing legacy.
Yeah,
lovely.
Amazing. Yeah. So,
Lovely,
obviously people are going to be wounded already when they hear that you're saying that life moves forward and there's, the reunion gig is not at the moment on the cards. Is that right?
I don't go back with anything.
No.
I just think you have a season. Life's about seasons, and you develop the next version of you, or the next season of wherever God's leading. And, it's like for the last 10 years, I've been worship pastor at City Church.
Yeah.
And it's great. We're in this amazing place at the moment where, sorry, I don't want to preempt your questions, but
no, it's fine. No, good, keep going.
Where we're seeing amazing growth. We really invested in our online presence during lockdown. I stood in here for 16 weeks leading worship.
Yeah,
and did a good job. We did a really good job. Filmed it well. We linked it all up. Got a good online presence. We have a lot of people. Not thousands, but a lot of people. watching it every week, and we're seeing the wave of that now, where I probably don't recognise half our church. It's amazing. We baptised 16 people just before Christmas. We're baptising another 10 next week.
Awesome.
It's like, and God's on the move. It's amazing, and it's right across the church. In the kids' work to the student work to, we're in this kind of something we've worked for 10 years.
Yeah.
And we're starting to see the fruit of that now.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. That's. I mean, great. That's great. I mean, I'm just going to post this comment on here because, Steve's a really good friend of mine. Again, been involved in actually featured last week on Embrace Live as well, and as you totally agree, and I agree. There's times and seasons, like you say. So moving forward, and like you say, thankful for the amazing experiences that the Y-Friday season brought, and speaking as a person that has enjoyed that on the receiving end, obviously seeing you perform, seeing you kind of like you say, gig worship, but worshiping up there, knowing the guys, you like you say, you mentioned like you do, and just great people and stuff. So it must be very special to kind of be in that place and having those opportunities and using the gifts that God's given you in the ministry that you had. It's great, like you say.
It's incredible.
It's
incredible when you're sat next to various people having dinner. You think, how am I here? Imposter syndrome,
Yeah, absolutely.
Staying in famous people's houses and all that kind of stuff. It's all a bit odd.
Yeah, well, I thought actually, as always, I've got a couple of sound effects ready on my soundboard here. I mean, I'm hoping I won't need this one. All right, so obviously we hope we won't go there. Depends if we bring Gaz on camera, which we won't, I'm sure. But I did think of the other one, the name drop one. Obviously as a name drop, we need a bit of name dropping and everything, so I can use that sound effect. We'll see. Like you say. So
I'll talk a few, not as many as my son and my daughter now, though.
Really?
Anyway.
Yeah, that's all right. It's good.
Crazy,
So let me, it'd be good to kind of get to your role in City Church and how that happened, and what does that look like, and how does that entail, like you say, in the season that you're in. And it's great to hear that, as we know, God's on the move in lots of different ways, and it's great to hear that, baptisms and everything. But let's do the usual kind of. If there was a highlight for the Y-Friday season, if there was a particular highlight for yourself, are you able to pick out a particular highlight?
There's a few, and they're not the big things.
Right. Okay.
I remember, well, some special times, like people being healed. There was a lad who used to come and see us often, who was a paraplegic lad, injured in a motorcycle accident in a wheelchair, and he would. In an intense time of worship, he would always get a seat on the front wherever we were, and there would be times where the guy could not get out of his chair apart from at certain times of worship, and he would struggle out of that chair.
Wow.
Special.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really special.
Yeah.
Barn would be in tears, watching that. People being healed, transformation stories, I just always get really excited about that, and I'm desperate to see more and more real healings again, miracles. Remember we were playing a gig somewhere, I don't know, and a lady came up about an hour afterwards. We were nearly left, and this lady came up and she said, "Oh, excuse me, I've been walking around up and down. Oh, Southport. I've been walking up and down the pier for the last hour." All right. She said, "You prayed for somebody with a bad hip." I get pains in parts of my body, and I used to call them out. I got that in a dream. God would say, I'm gonna give you
yeah
and he's doing best Geordie accent, I'll give you pains in your body and just call those out for healing, and praying for healing in the name of Jesus. So I was always faithful to that, even when tumbleweed would appear and nobody would respond. And I remember this lady came up after, and she just said, I was born with a hereditary hip. And she must have been in her 50s with this hereditary hip problem. I've been in pain every hour of my life.
Wow.
And you guys prayed for me, and I've not been in pain, so I've been walking up and down for the last hour to check it, but I'd come and tell you that I'm healed.
Amazing.
And brain tumours, all that kind of stuff. I mean, just lovely, lovely. What a privilege it is to stand in ministry in that kind of way.
Yeah.
It's lovely.
Amazing. I mean, obviously, you've impacted so many different lives, and I just want to put this on here. The Hannah's, just a testament to that as well as another example, really. An absolute amazing ministry that you had in that season and continue to have, I'm sure. Give us an embarrassing moment then. Obviously, let's do the usual kind of thing on there. So that like a most embarrassing, there's those amazing worship bloopers, isn't there, online? We can see one of my favourites is always you've got the worship drummer and Oceans. I've ever seen that one who just kind of the heavy metal drummer, classic. You mentioned Martin Smith, the Delirious, obviously when he lays his Bible down and start on his keyboard and starts kicking off, I don't know, whatever Bon Tempi tune it was, Bossa Nova, whatever. What about yourself? Come on, just to show that you're human. What?
Done loads. I've blotted most of them out. I either remember the really good things or the really, really bad things. Just probably stupid things I said. I do. This would probably be the best one. I have to be careful what I say here. We were at a gig somewhere. It was a smallish gig. It was up in Scotland, and came on stage, full of himself, frontman. Okay, everybody, let's get, some people were sat down. Come on, let's everybody get on your feet. Let's worship God tonight. Guys sat down there. I'm like, mate, we're not even gonna start until you stand up. No. And a little voice in the back of my head went like, he's in a wheelchair, isn't he? And I'm like, yeah, he's in a wheelchair. And the band looked at me. Gav's like looking down at his keyboard. This is right at the beginning of the night. Yeah, that was an embarrassing one. I did go and apologise to the guy, obviously, and he was great. He was absolutely fine. I was devastated.
Phew.
So be careful what you say when you've got a microphone.
Absolutely. Oh, so obviously you mentioned Gav there and so on, and Gav is obviously a good mutual friend of ours, and even though that I think he's still a friend of mine. Not that he ever replies to my messages these days, but because I want to try and encourage him to come on, as well, just to kind of stuff. But I remember that we had an opportunity at Harvest one time when we were leading worship. I know that you got to lead worship a few times, but again we were the Crucible band as it was at the time, so doing a similar kind of thing in the Teesside area, and Gav had kind of joined us and whatever, and it's just amazing. Obviously, as he was such a talented guy, but when we were there was a time of ministry, we were on stage and it's time of ministry, and we're just playing in the spirit, and Gav is absolutely panicking, and what should I play? What do I do now? Never experienced this kind of thing before. So we'll just go around the chord progression and do the chorus or whatever, and we're trying to kind of coax him through it, and just those early moments. What a great guy, and then obviously seeing him with yourselves and the amazing kind of ministry that you all had and stuff, and such a talented fella.
Thank you for training him up before we stole him from me.
Honestly, funny, I haven't got much of a long-term memory, but I remember when Gav came up to me originally at Harvest, and he was serving on, I think it was the stewards team at the time, and he said, look, I'm really, I'm keen to get involved. I play keys, and I'd like to kind of come along and just help with Crucible and stuff like that. And it wasn't long before, he was such a servant-hearted, humble guy and quiet. And that, obviously to get him involved, and it was just great to see him move into that, season and then beyond, obviously, and just see how God took him and is continuing to take him so much more, obviously, on that journey, like you're saying, with yourselves and all of that. So it's great, So
and it's fascinating, at church. So I'm worship pastor. We have quite a big team, and I have tech as well. So we're about 41, I think, at the moment, which sounds loads. Yeah. From the outside, that's crazy numbers. Yeah. But actually, if a couple of people disappear, we're suddenly very creaky and like missing really key people. So yeah. Don't think that it's like, oh, it's all right for you guys. It's really not. It's the same issues. Yeah. But I do hold auditions to join team, and people do have to hit the musical standard. But it's still character that I look for.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you've got good character, I am doing my absolute best to squeeze you into team somewhere to give you a go. Yeah. If you're an idiot and you're the greatest musician in the world, I'll probably tell you you're an idiot and you need to go away and maybe serve on coffee team for a while. Yeah,
absolutely.
And that's church, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, I was going to ask you a little bit about, what's your experience of running, managing teams, being part of a team and stuff like that. But you just hit the nail on the head there, really, and absolutely couldn't agree more. That doesn't matter if you're most, like you say, the fantastic musician, but you've got a bit of an issue, a bit of an attitude. Go and serve, go and serve doing this. If you're not willing to go and serve on the coffee team, then you shouldn't be on a platform somewhere, and all of that.
It took me quite a while to transition from being, centre of attention to leader.
Yeah.
It's very, very different. And now, even if I'm leading worship and we've got maybe a couple of the younger students coming through and leading a song, I'm just like a big proud dad.
Yeah.
Just smiling at them, encouraging them. Come on, lead the church. Come on. And I just adore it. Yeah. I love it. I love that.
Good on you. Good on you, mate.
And it's like, people say to me, "Oh yeah, you're a good singer, but isn't she amazing?" They go, "Yeah." I'm used to that. I get a lot of that.
So I mean, obviously, in my lead up to this kind of thing, I told you I checked out the City Church, website and things, and obviously just for a bit of info and stuff. But I jumped on for a while. I didn't watch the whole service, I must admit, but one of the kind of live streams that you do in the City Church, and it's, great, again, good production value and everything. So I can totally understand what you said earlier about actually through lockdown, people have engaged with the church, and then actually not recognising people who are coming, which is really encouraging to hear.
Dave, we didn't have we had one really terrible old camera.
Yeah.
Now we've built a camera system. I wanted a broadcast sound room, like Andy's got. Like I helped Andy look at a little bit, Andy. But we spent the money on a projector, so I don't have a broadcast room.
Yeah.
So our front of house mix is our broadcast mix. So we've had to kick that down the track, right? Even though you look, it's all right for you guys. It's not. I have the same budget constraints that everybody. Might get slightly more in terms of budget.
Yeah.
But like, still can't get everything. It's not like
it's a small percentage of what you'd really like to be able to put everything that you've got the vision for in place. Yeah, absolutely. And no doubt.
James, I passed out. Yeah. He always just says to me, I've had a great idea, James. He just rolls his eyes and says, how much is that going to cost me?
Yeah.
It's the first question.
Yeah, absolutely.
Write reports to the trustees,
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. That's always been the similar kind of conversation to, whichever church I've been a member of. Not that I've hopped around too much, but, I had the privilege of being a part of and that kind of reaction, of like, wow, this would be great. And how much, Dave, how much do you need for a tech budget this year? I said, how much you got? I could spend all of it easily, that kind of stuff. But, it's great, and actually that's recognising in the difficulties of the pandemic and lockdown and everything else, and being sensitive of that, it's actually recognising that gathering of people online. Again, that's a real ministry, and there's part of actually why we do this. Embrace Live as part of our kind of living that out as well, and kind of doing that. So just to it makes it accessible for people who maybe would find it difficult for to kind of go into a church building as such, but it's the first step, isn't it? It's an easy in, then, you would hope, and like you say, I'm praying that the people have been impacted. I'm sure they have.
Yeah.
The Holy Spirit moves back through what they've heard, through people's stories and things like that, and again tonight and so on. So yeah, it's great. I'm just conscious of the time, Ken, because we kind of devote an hour to these things, and as always, we kind of whiz through it, and there's just so much more kind of stuff. So what I'm interested in is, obviously you're clearly a very talented and gifted gentleman. I use that word deliberately, and and obviously have written many songs as part of YFriday and beyond. You mentioned before we came on here, you've got some new content coming out, some new tracks and stuff. So it'd be great to hear about those. So I'm really interested in obviously the kind of songwriting process that you go. How does it work for you? Because obviously probably the best. Forgive me for saying this, but probably the most well-known song that you are credited for co-writing with Brenton Brown, wasn't it? Is Everlasting God? Is that the one?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I'm glad about that, because that would have been really awkward if you'd said no. There was an opportunity to make me squirm. So tell us about how that happened. And then, what does the kind of writing process look like for you? Because again, we want to inspire, the local church to be writing songs that express who they are. Obviously in the context of, living out their faith and what it looks like for them.
Yeah, Everlasting God was quite an easy one you know, in the same way that Tom Cruise only ever been for one audition. It's like, it really fell out. Brenton wasn't very well. He had ME. I went down to London. He said, "Come down, let's do some writing." And I knew his wife quite well. She'd been an agent for us.
Right.
I hadn't really met Brenton much. Turned up at his house. We'd work for half an hour, then he'd go and have a lie down. Work for another half an hour, he'd go and lie down because he was really struggling. Okay. And he said, "I'm clinging on to this scripture," which was the Isaiah scripture where the song comes from. And he said, "I've got this idea: strength and rise away upon the Lord."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, I've got this bit. Oh God, you wait forever." That was like 20 minutes, right? It's like,
yeah.
Oh, this is really good. Yeah, this is really good. We like this. And then we went through about 3 different choruses, and I preferred chorus 2. And Brenton around me went, "We've got to make a decision." He's like, "I like chorus 3," and I was like, "Okay, yeah, yeah, let's go with chorus 3." And chorus 3 is the "You Are the Everlasting God."
Yeah,
chorus.
yeah.
So well, that was a close one.
Yeah, yeah. Amazing. So what about, obviously, through all of your kind of experience of writing with the Y-Friday guys and then obviously your individual stuff and where you're at now, then what does that kind of process typically, not that it's a formula in any way, but typically look like for you in terms of writing and things?
So now you can't see this, but writing where I'm looking is like my monitors and my Pro Tools rig, and a song starts on an acoustic guitar or on a piano. Yeah. I look down because there's a piano keyboard here. Yeah. Often first thing in the morning, sometimes in the middle of the night, not so much. But yeah, and then just fleshing it out. And I would just say to anybody with songs, they have to move you. Because I'll sit here often working on a lyric or whatever on the screen here, and if I'm not arms in the air, really moved, in a song, saying that's exactly what I want to say, and sensing God, it's not going to be a very good song. If I'm not moved by it, nobody else is going to be. And something about it. There's something about God and man together, right? There's like the presence of God. He anoints some things, still don't have a clue why, but he just does, whether it's a season or a ministry or whatever. And he breathes in some songs more than other songs, and he breathes in some people more than he does in other people. That's probably quite contentious, but in terms of the outworking of that, but we spot them, don't we? You could say, "Oh well, yeah, that person," and it's every good and perfect gift comes from the Lord, but you've got to work the gift.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's not like here's my gift, here I am fully formed. It's like, well, here's the gift, it's a bit of a coal seam, you've got to turn it into a diamond.
How do you think your songwriting has kind of developed over the years then? Is it a skill that has developed that you've worked at, and
I mean, every song has its own thing that you have to unlock. You have to find out what's in the song, and the skill sometimes is unlocking it and helping it steer. I'm a great believer in. It sounds totally wacky, but ideas. The great songwriters McCartney. That's ideas are floating around in the ether, and there's definitely a bit of that. Yeah. But the scripture says if you can be trusted with small things, you can be trusted with bigger things. So. The songwriters will say if you work on a song, a better song will come. Blah blah. Well, if you're faithful with the small things, you'd be faithful with the bigger things. Yeah. And I see that as like a universal principle, which is God's principle.
So do you
I would say that I'm the best I've been now as a worship leader, as a singer, definitely as a singer. Crikey. All the people who put up with me shouting down the mics in the Y-Friday days. And songs, it's taken me quite a long time to write specifically for church rather than, the extremities and the kind of gig worship side. Yeah. But I'm dead fond of some of the new songs. Yeah, it's great.
Tell us about.
Everybody might hate it, of course.
No, well.
Everybody else might hate them.
No, I'm sure that won't be the. And obviously we do want to plug, the new, content that you've got coming out soon, you know, or whenever that's available.
Yeah,
I'm just before we get to that, and before you tell us a bit about the, you know, what's happening currently and what's coming out, I was just interested there in terms of your writing. Do you tend to get lyrics first, or like, you know, obviously you're talking about acoustic or keys, you know, is it a little kind of, you know, progression or something like, or is it music, or is it lyrics, or is it a bit of both, or?
You have to be a bit careful not to go down one track more than the other. The best songs sort of come together, I think.
Yeah.
And because the lyric and the sound of the lyric helps form the melody. But generally, what's really interesting, if you want some name dropping, the way different people write. Some are very melody based, some are very lyric based.
Yes.
You know, having been in rooms with the people that a lot of people are watching now have written songs with the guys, like, they've all worked different ways. It's fascinating. Yeah. I know for me, I have to have it took me a long time to work out I need a screen in front of me for lyrics. I need to be able to see the lyrics so that I can edit them. If it's all just in my head, it doesn't work for me. So so, you know, little things like that, just tricks, tips.
So, you know, what about the co-writing then? Do you tend to work on a song and say, or do you, you know, co-write? You know, how does that? Do you get opportunity to do that? Is it, I mean, there's other people, you know, obviously with the new stuff coming out, has any of those been co-written, or is it just all your kind of individual?
It's mostly me. I don't really have a songwriting partner in the Northeast, which is really sad. I would love one. Applications on email.
Yeah.
And it's like, co-writing's lovely because the community writes a song, you know. But I do pull some songwriting workshops together. We had one just in November there. A guy called Les Moya came up. We had a little song in Newcastle. We had about 30 writers came. I invited some of your guys, but they couldn't make it. You know, Will and Matt and those sorts of guys.
Yeah.
And just gathering songwriters is great. But within that, there's still... I'd love to be able to say, when you're in a room full of songwriters, if you write with anybody, you're going to get a great song. There are some, like, the best songwriters are, it's not a fluke.
Yeah.
You know, Redmond's not like, he's not lucky every time he plays his guitar. He's a brilliant songwriter.
Yeah.
Just is.
Yeah.
You know, but it's character, and it's Bible, and it's gifting, and it's heart and character.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. Tell us about the new stuff that's coming out then. You know, obviously what's happening, you know, within the City Church kind of context and the writing that you've got from that season that you're in at the minute.
So I sneak a few in. We're probably like most churches. We, you know, that you've got your Bethel Hill song, Elevation kind of style. You know, the Christian hits that we do all them. I stick some in, and for me, being worship pastor, it's like, for us to do one of my songs, it's got to be better than the song that we could have done instead. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm the most critical on that. I'll be like, nah, I'm not doing that. And this guys will be, no, it's really good. I'm like, yeah, it's all right. Yeah. So we've been doing a couple lately, but and I like to get the stuff released first, so we'll get it out. I haven't released any of absolutely ages. Yeah. But if I showed you the list of demos on my machine behind you, it's like, it's terrifying. It's a lot, months and months of work. Yeah.
So when can we expect it then? When's the new stuff coming out then? Is it nearly ready? Is it nearly release date?
So I've started, a guy called Trev Michael's going to mix it for me. We started the conversation in October. Christmas took over. I've got loads of vocal stuff in it. Here's my trusty SM7 microphone here, right here. So I've got this on a stand here that I can literally wheel in, so I've got no excuses. Get the vocals done, So I'll say soon.
Soon. Great, nice non-committal answer. But so listen, you know, where can we go? You know, I mean, I'm going to guess that obviously Y-Friday stuff is all available on the usual kind of streaming channels and things like, you know, Spotify and stuff like that. And
I assume so.
You don't really know, but you will be able to, I'm sure. You know, it's got to be
probably,
on there. Yeah. So what about? Is it likely that, you know, and obviously when you release it, it's going to, you know, your content as well is going to be on there, and you know, I'm guessing. So when you release it, just make sure it's well publicised, so we all know about it. We can then obviously all push it.
I'll I'll try. I'm rubbish at that.
Put it on your social channels because, like you say, would you a post from 1987 or whatever it was? I think it was 82. I said before.
And I have this amazing band that travels. So like Andy Rose, who might still be on here.
Yeah,
plays drums, and we've got Worship in the City event that we started.
Yeah,
which is just brilliant. People from different churches, great band, great sense of God.
Yeah,
love that.
Yeah.
So we've travelled doing a few conferences and things, with that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, as expected, Hannah's jumped on and just kind of confirmed, obviously, that your content's on Amazon and Apple Music and the like. So, as we would have expected.
Thanks, Hannah.
Hang on a minute. She's really pushing it here. You can buy an MP3 at ex-YFriday for $7.99 on Amazon. And of course, Andy's still on and took the opportunity. Yeah, we need to tour it. Absolutely. So we're going to look forward to that. Obviously, when that
That's
happens.
Kind of me. Is he coming for free?
Absolutely not. I can answer that on, obviously on his behalf. I would have thought. Anyway, I won't be his agent and stuff like that. So I'm just conscious that we are heading towards 9 o'clock and stuff like that. And I'm
sure, yeah.
I get a bit, sound like a stuck record at this point. I say that we could continue for another hour at least. There's just so much more. And really enjoying it. But there's a feature I like to finish with for these kind of worship leader sessions, episodes, if you like, and I call them worship bangers. So a bit like the Desert Island kind of disc kind of stuff. And so if you had to pick, which is such a difficult question, I know, 3, if you like, the worship songs that really mean something to you, maybe have reflected a season. Or whatever, those kind of things. They can't be your own. I'm going to make that stipulation.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
We might be, creative with that. We can say if there's a particular song
That's
that we might chuck that in as a fourth or whatever.
Obviously, my own songs mean quite a lot to me, but
yes, yeah.
Okay. So a quick Potter's history. Probably Did You Feel the Mountains Tremble?
Yeah, amazing song.
Just I Was There.
Yeah.
I remember. Martin bringing the boys up to Bethchan Church in Newcastle. I thought it was on, nobody had heard of them. Place was rammed.
Yeah.
Wall of Sound. Sang Did You Feel the Mountains Tremble? Couldn't believe it. Ordered the tape number 3. Put it on in the car the next morning. And it starts with that big reverb snare.
Yeah. Awesome, isn't it?
Crying by the time I got to the end of the street. So that was special.
Yeah.
What do I really love at the moment? On Sunday I led I'd Give You All the Honour.
Yeah. Love that song.
Really old, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's been around longer than I've been a Christian. That's not one of my favourites though. Current, I love Run to the Father, Cody Carnes.
Yeah, great song.
The reason I picked that is my old pastor, I recorded it here, spot of lockdown. He said, could I have the version for a thing? So I sent him it and I watched it today and I was like, I love that song.
Yeah.
That's on YouTube, me singing Run to the Father.
Is it?
One for you, Hannah.
Yeah.
And then Revelation song.
Yeah.
With Kim Walker singing it.
Yeah.
Or Rachel, if she's watching. But the Kim Walker Revelation.
Strong choices, good choices.
Just amazing. But loads of others, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's such a nightmare of a question. I like to ask it. I don't like to answer it. I don't think I could answer it. What about of all of the songs that you've written? Over whatever season it was with the ex-YFriday guys, or since then, or whatever even before that. What? Which one would you pick as really?
That's like picking your favourite kid.
It is. All right. Can we make it easy by saying 3 of your own songs then?
Probably the more obscure ones. Some of the newer ones I just love.
Yeah.
I'm not going to answer. I don't know. I've not really thought about it.
I totally.
ex-YFriday days. Probably the more obscure ones that just snuck on. Because I'd have been fighting for them, but I love that. Yeah. People would be going, nah, that's not good enough. I go, yeah, but I love it. We've got to get that on somehow.
I think it was. I think the Revolution kind of album was the. Wasn't that about? Yeah. I mean, that is a rocking album, and I think that's purely. Was that about the time that you bought that beautiful gold top Les Paul that you've got? Was that about the time when you bought, and then everything was just rocking after? Or just seemed to be anyway.
I mean, I still have that guitar. Still, she's called Brittany. It's my favourite guitar still. It's in the case in the other room, the storeroom. Did I have that for that? I remember buying that guitar from New York, and it came. I got it shipped, and it arrived on the morning we were doing a Songs of Praise filming.
Right.
And so I was like,
great opportunity.
This brand new because you know what, like new gear, right?
Yeah.
Les Paul and singing this ballad, but with a Les Paul.
Love it. Well, I mean, obviously we've got a lot of fan. I was a big fan. It looks an amazing guitar, and you know.
Oh, it's amazing guitar. Beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, if I ever was to buy a Les Paul, it would have to be a gold top. And my mate there, Steve, you know, obviously we all like to look, you know, obviously just looked amazing.
And Steve, Deluxe.
Yeah.
It's just for me a standard's just a bit too fat and a bit too thick. The Deluxe just is in between Les Paul and the Telly, and I always try and record with this Telecaster.
Yeah.
And when anything ever's not working, I just get the Les Paul, and the same part just goes in, and it's like, why am I bothering with the Telecaster?
Love it. Right, we've ventured into a bit of a nerdy zone again there for the non-musicians. Are kind of going, well, I'm not entirely sure what you know, you're on about there, but oh yes, I'm just going to post this from Mr. Steve there. The Deluxe is magic. It is, I agree. You know, certainly.
It's a great guitar.
Mate, it has been so good just to kind of catch up with you after it's been many years, and you're amazing. You know, fella, like I say, you know, I mean that, and you know, it's been great to kind of know you and see what you've been doing, and obviously hear about the bits that I haven't got to see, you know, and I'm really looking forward, honestly, to the new material coming out. And you know, please, if you can afford Andy Rose on drums, please employ him. You know, and then you know, obviously we want to be able to, you know, and like you suggest, tour it and things like that. So we want to be able to hear your, you know, your material and stuff like that. You know, amazing. City Church is a great church. I've visited once or twice over the years. I'd like to come more, you know, but as always, we're all very involved in our own churches and stuff, and it's trying to find the time to do that, isn't it? Yeah. So, but you know, with you know, obviously the worship in the city stuff as well. It'd be great to see that maybe happening, maybe in the future, whatever that looks like.
More of that. Yeah,
all of that. I'm just giving you loads of jobs to do, is what I'm trying to do, because you know, obviously as a worship pastor, you do now, do you? So there we go.
And a procrastinator.
Yeah, absolutely. So listen, it's been great. Just sorry.
So can I pray for you all before we?
Please. Yeah, please do.
Whoever's online now, you know, Gary and Helen and Steve and all the names, and Hannah and Andy and Helen. Yeah, all those. Lord, Lord, sometimes we really complicate this worship stuff, you know, and it becomes hit after hit. But actually, what it really is, Lord, is an expression of our gratitude to you, Lord. It's an expression of just an exuberant expression of what you've done for us, God. And I pray for all of us involved, and I pray for Embrace Church, Lord, that the reach would increase, the sense of your presence would increase. The people who go there, they would just want to be involved, put their shoulders to the plough, God. I pray it would be an easy job to turn bands out and things for Sundays, to get people to serve on coffee and all the stuff that we need as church, Lord. But I pray that everybody would just sense your pleasure as they do that, Lord. And I pray that you would breathe in the leadership, in the congregation, and into that place, God. We do pray they would see many friends, and I pray for an increase in the gift of faith to invite friends, to pursue those people, to show them a better way of living. So, Lord Jesus, we pray, will you presence yourself in them and through them? And we pray this in your incredible name, Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, mate. I really appreciate it. Amen. So, listen, I'm going to put you just on screen with your kind of contact details that I've showed you earlier. And so, if you want to get in touch, obviously with Ken. What I wouldn't do is use that at Ken_Riley, because like I say, his socials are a bit out of date, shall we say. But, you know, maybe send him a pigeon or something like that. I think that's more reliable. But certainly with City Church Newcastle, check it out, have a look at the site, and you can certainly see, obviously all the details there about meeting and really encourage you to kind of do that and go along, like I say, check them out. just from our point of view, obviously Embrace Church, you can see here's our kind of socials and sites and things like that. So if you want to kind of get in touch, and certainly you'd be more than welcome if you're around and you'd like to visit us in Darlington, then you can obviously please, do that. But Ken, just to kind of finish off, thank you very, very much, sir. You're a legend, and certainly, Gaz is just kind of saying, and you might have seen that on the screen, that he certainly needs a coffee with you soon, because again, he just needs to catch up and obviously go over the glory days and all of that kind of stuff, and no doubt it'll try and sell you what he's doing at the minute, try and sell you, and ask you about your energy and who you're with and all of that kind of stuff. But because he's asking everybody, certainly at the Spenny games, he works his way down the whole of the crowd, I think. There we go. But he's a good man, and so obviously, and I'm just picking up on Helen's comment. Andy would do it for free. I mean, he does love you. Oh, there we go. That's all right.
That sounds like a verbal contract to me.
That does sound like a verbal contract. I agree. So there we go. All right. Bless you, buddy. You're amazing. Thank you. I'm going to just wrap this up now, and then, we can chat maybe a little bit quickly afterwards, and then we'll end up for the day. But thank you very much for giving up your night tonight. It's been really great to kind of catch up with you.
See you guys.
All right. So take care, everyone. Obviously, set your reminders for Wednesday next week, 8 o'clock, and we'll see you then. Thank you.